welcome to Sharing Life Issues with Her Excellency Haji Ami. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I hope everybody is doing well today. Thank you so much for always coming here to join me. If you've not subscribed, kindly hit the subscription button. Itan aye gidi, labarin dunia na gaskiya, ahukondu madu, real life stories. Here is where you have to listen to be wise. You have to listen to learn from other people's mistakes, and you have to learn to listen not to hate yourself. Because believe it or not, whatever happened to you was not your fault. You gave somebody a chance and they blew it away. You trusted somebody and they betrayed you. So keep going strong and do not make that break you. Do not make that make you a bitter person. And learn to also empower others to learn from your story. Some might call it a mistake. Some might say, hey, are you crazy? How did this happen? But trust me, some things are not just natural. Some things can be spiritual. Today, I would like to read a story to you. It's a long story, so you might want to get your popcorn and some drinks. From my inbox. Long read, she wrote, but worth it. I sold my husband's house and relocated to the USA. My name is Bumi. I am 31, married, with 3 lovely kids, 2 boys and a girl. I work in a bank as a customer care agent. The pay is not much, but it's better than doing nothing. My husband is a very rich man that provides all I need and takes good care of our kids. I don't spend a dime from my salary, except when I just want to be extra. He is 36 from Anambra State, while I am from Lagos State. He is what every woman would call a good husband. He opened an account where he puts money into more than once every month for the kids and I. If you have read to this point, I know you will be wondering why I sold his house without his consent and ran off with our kids to the United States. If he's this good and more, all right, let's get to the story. Here's what happened. I met my husband when I was in University of Lagos. We dated for 11 months before getting married. It wasn't really easy being that I am Yoruba lady while he is Igbo. His parents tried all they could to make him not marry me, but he insisted. My family had no issues at all. They welcomed him like he was their own. I was in my 3rd year while he had just finished youth service when we got married. He comes from a very wealthy and connected family. It wasn't difficult for him to get a well-paying job as a tech guy in an oil company. 2 years into the marriage, same year our first son was born. He built the house we lived in, the one I sold. It was an 8-bedroom duplex, all rooms en suite, with swimming pool, gym station, mini farm, and playground for the kids. We were doing so well, no case of infidelity or serious problems in our marriage. When I was pregnant for our 2nd child, he got a way bigger job in the UK. At first, he didn't want to go, but I persuaded him. I really wanted my kids to go to school abroad, and the perfect opportunity presented itself. I encouraged him to take the offer because I thought he would take his family along so that I will deliver my babies there. Unfortunately, my sister misplaced my international passport, so I had not the time to file a report and do something about it before it was time for his visa to be processed. He left when I was 7 months pregnant. We agreed that I will go ahead and deliver my baby in Lagos, after which I will sort out my passport and apply for family visa for us to join him there. This was 8 years ago. By the time my baby was 6 months old, I told him I was ready for the visa. My passport was sorted, but he convinced me to hold on, that he was not properly settled and ready yet for us to join him. Things is, I never doubted my husband. Not for once. I had absolutely no reason to doubt him. So whenever he told me to hold on and be patient, I always indulged him. I decided to stop bringing up the matter after he had stayed there for more than a year. And I got a job to keep myself occupied. His cousin was living with me, including my house help. It wasn't a problem leaving my kids with them, going to work every day. He also supported it. 2 years after he left, he came back and stayed for 6 weeks. There was still no reason to suspect or question his decision. He gave us maximum attention, was a hands-on dad and husband, even followed me to the salon at some point, some things he hadn't done before. I was so happy and feeling on top of the world. It was as if his 2 years in the UK increased his love for me. He was always reaching out to me while I was at work, asking how my day was going, sending me sexy voice notes and messages. He couldn't get his hands off me. The night before he went back to the UK, I brought up the topic of joining him over there. He subtly turned it down with reasons that made sense to me at that time, or so I thought. He said he was saving up to buy us a house there. He does not want us to live in a rented apartment with him when we had a massive house in Lagos. I nodded in acceptance without questions. Few weeks after he left, I found out I was pregnant for my third child, which turned out to be a girl. The communication was very good. I wasn't calling or writing him much because he was always calling and writing me. All I did was reply him and pick the calls. We spoke every day, morning and night, then messages between. Another 2 years had gone before we saw him again. Nothing changed. It was same treatment from him as the last time he came back. It was on that trip he bought me a new car and 4 plots of land as my birthday gift. My friends and colleagues were envious of me. They were praying to meet a man like my husband. I felt like a true queen. Once in a while, I expressed my desire to live with him. Distance marriage wasn't what I signed for. I wanted to live with him so badly. Getting visas for us wasn't going to be a problem. We had all our credentials that was granted. I wanted him to be a part of our kids' lives, spend Christmas with us. Since he moved to UK, he had never been around for Christmas. The first time he came back was mid-year. Same as the second time. He said it was difficult to leave during Christmas period, that he works a lot during that period. He assured me he was working out something so that we will finally follow him to the UK. I completely believed him. He went back to the UK and we continued our distant marriage. He was making all the money for our kids and I to spend anyways we wanted, but I was the only one raising the kids. All the hospital visits, the sleepless nights, the school issues, watching them grow, being there for them, the milestones, he wasn't witnessing any. Except the occasional video clips I sent to him from time to time. In all this, I never stopped loving and trusting him. I never doubted him nor cheated on him. I did not create the room for any man to want me in that way. It was only my husband and my husband alone. Because of my constant complaint of how much I miss him, he started coming back once a year instead of twice a year. His 6 weeks was reduced to 4 weeks, but I accepted it that way. It was better to be seeing him once a year than once in 2 years. My husband knows how much I love sex. I do not joke with it. My body longs for it. I have exhausted all the toys in the market trying to calm my nerves while I wait for him. Each time he visits, he makes sure to sex me every single day. Until he goes back to the UK, my bone straight hair is unsteady brushed by him. During the weekends, I collect morning and night, sometimes mornings, afternoons, and night. I tell him what I want him to do, and he does it happily without questions. Hajia, you see, I got the best husband, or so I thought. All the misunderstanding and quarrels we had in the marriage ended by him always being the bigger person and apologizing. He knows I know how to ignore. I will not communicate with him for days until he starts begging. I know you will ask, what if I am the one that offend him? Nah, you don't have the luxury of asking me such. She rolled her eyes up with the Imogen. But because I am generous, I will give you an answer, which is wife that their husbands left in Nigeria with the kids are never wrong. She puts the sad emoji. It's not easy to be a married woman that acts as the man and woman of the house because the husband is living abroad. We are never wrong. She puts the angry face emoji. In his 4th trip back home, which is 6 years in the UK, my younger sister got UK visa with her daughter. She's a single mother, but the father of her baby has been supporting her financially in taking care of the child, according to her. She is 2 months older than my first son. I was so happy for her. I figured it will be a good thing for her to go and live close to my husband, so as to help me keep an eye on him and help him make Nigerian dishes sometimes. He complains of how much he misses it. When I spoke to my husband about it, he didn't let me finish talking. He rejected the idea and said he does not want my sister to know where he lives, that it's not wise. He spoke in a way that made sense to me at that time. His wife does not know where he lives yet. He is not about to allow his wife's sister to be the first to know. He didn't even want to be on same flight with her. He told her to go on her own. If she needs guidance, she can always reach him on WhatsApp. I didn't push for it. I supported him and told my sister to find her way. If my husband wasn't living in the UK, she would have still gone and survived. My sister left 2 days after he went back. As usual, everything was going so well. I remember my sister telling me that I was making a big mistake. She told me I trusted my husband blindly, that I was acting like someone that was not smart. She insinuated that my husband was cheating on me. Something was fishy to her. She did not understand how a very rich man that claims to love his wife and kids will be making flimsy excuses for his refusal for us to join him abroad. She told me to permit and equip her financially to investigate my husband when she gets to the UK, but I laughed it off. I told her to clean her mouth, never alter such about my husband, never again. My husband is not like the man that impregnated her and refused to marry her. That night, I told my husband everything she said. The good and trusting wife in me was still rolling in action. I know I was gullible, maybe because of his mighty GBOLA. GBOLA means dick in the Nigerian language, or would I say the GBOLA? I don't know. I think it's like in the, I believe that was in like a broken English, or it might be in one of the slangs that they use, but that stands for big dick. That rubs off my senses. Oh, dude can grind from Lagos to Mafe. His tongue has powers and magic. He works wonders with it. Or the too much money, attention, and care that he keeps pumping on me, even in distance. He was so angry, I had to kneel to beg him not to react. He was going to chase her and her kid out of our home that night because of the advice that she gave me. 2 years after that incident, my sister and her daughter was already settled in the UK. When she told me she saw my husband in a certain mall, but he ignored her greeting, I was surprised. It was unlike my husband to do such. I couldn't believe he was still sulking over what my sister insinuated. I apologized to her on his behalf and told her to ignore him. The next time she stumbles on him, it wasn't really a big deal to me. I spoke to my husband about it. He confirmed that he saw her, but was not going to stand and exchange pleasantries with someone that wanted to break his marriage. Someone that was trying to spoil his wife. He does not want to be close to such a person. Few months later, he came back to Nigeria. It was Christmas period. He didn't tell us he was coming back. Unlike other times we were so surprised and excited to see him, I had planned a trip to South Africa with the kids and his cousin. My house help traveled to her village to see her parents. He jumped in and got his visa immediately to go with us. It was a 1-week Christmas trip. We went out every day in Joburg. I would look at my husband with so much love and admiration. I sent my sister a voice note narrating my happiness and enjoyment on the trip with my husband and kids. I gave her a lot of details. In excitement, she told me it was too good to be true, that she feels something was off. I pushed it down to jealousy and let her be. On the 5th day of the trip, we had a sightseeing planned, but I was exhausted from the day before. I begged my husband to go along with the kids while I put my legs up, drink some juice, Netflix, and chill in our hotel suite. I decided to tap on my laptop to check my mail, but it wasn't responding. The laptop was having minor issues, but I didn't have much time to get a new one and set it up before we left Lagos. I decided to travel with it like that. It was just for a week. After I tried to build it and it wasn't coming up, I slighted my husband's pristine, extremely expensive laptop. Sitting pretty on the table, I turned it on to use it. Enter personal password was boldly written on the screen. I picked up my phone to reach him and asked for his password. I guessed he was out of network coverage or something. I started trying out all the passwords that I had seen over his shoulder in the past. I tried up to 5 times before I got it right. Before then, I never had any reason to use his laptop, not even while we were still living together before he relocated to the UK. I always used mine. His mail was opened, plus a few other tabs. I was going to go straight to opening a fresh tab and sign into my email, but something stopped me. Out of curiosity, without any single bad intentions, I decided to snoop. I started reading his mails. What I saw almost gave me a heart attack. Hajia, I could not believe my eyes. My body was shaking and sweat was starting to break out. My palms got sweaty. The room became so hot as anxiety set in. I could not stop myself, Hajia. I'm telling you the truth. I kept going on and on and on and on. It felt like I was dreaming. I kept going on. I checked the username on the mail again to make sure it belonged to my husband or it was not somebody else's. What I saw was unbelievable. I never imagined that my husband could do such to me. I will tell you the painful things I saw in the next chapter. I know you have been so patient to know what I found. My husband's laptop, okay, let me not stretch it any further and simply cut to the case. Remember that cousin of his I always mentioned that is living with me? Question mark. Yes, same 14-year-old girl started living with me 2 years after I got married, is my husband's biological child. He claimed she is his mother's youngest sister's child, who died many years ago while giving birth to her. The girl was living with his parents before we got married. She's such a sweet girl, I didn't dispute. The moment his mother insisted the girl must leave with me, no part of me suspected anything. I wanted his parents to fully accept me, so I took the girl like my younger sister. Plus, my husband begged me not to treat her like a house girl, that she's family. She goes to the best school and gets the best things my kids get as well. I saw mails he shared with a certain someone that I have never heard of. After going through all his sent messages to the person and his primary inbox, I discovered that the lady is the mother of his cousin. Some of them were slutty messages of how he disflowered her back then, and the things they did after that, while the rest centered on how well the cousin was growing and doing in school. The lady is married with kids, I figured from his pleasantries to her. Some of the messages had pictures of her naked and doing stuff. He even asked her when she will visit the UK again, that he has greatly missed her. Apparently, she has been visiting him while I am here, keeping the home front, acting the good, faithful, and trustworthy wife. What a woe! I wondered why he didn't marry her. What happened that made him call his own child a cousin? And why the lady in question got married to someone else and is still in a relationship with my husband? Why they were exchanging emails instead of phone conversations? Or normal chats. My husband is 36, which means he had her when he was 22. My head was busting with too much questions. Anxiety was dealing with me. My throat was so dry, hands still shaking. I brought out my phone and snapped a few of the messages, then turned off the laptop and started crying, waiting for him to get back. I was going to blast him as soon as he walked through the door. I was eagerly waiting. As I was crying, I remembered there were still messages that I did not check. I turned the laptop back on and continued to other messages. The next thing I saw almost gave me a heart attack. I started choking, like I was going to pass out. I tried to get up from the bed, but I could not. My knees were so weak, and my head was spinning. I saw that he was the one that got UK visas for my sister and her daughter, booked their flights. He's the father of her baby. They started having an affair shortly after we met. I saw mails that dated back to before my marriage. I picked up my phone to snap the message. I could not focus. Oh God! Who would have thought that my own sister that hated my husband, telling me she does not like Igbo people at all, has been having an affair with him for so many years under my nose? I had no clue. Oh God. I remember the day she told me that the father of her child deceived her, that she did not know he was a married man with kids. She's been living so fine, always sharing good news with me, how the man bought her a car to be doing school runs and also bought a plot of land for her daughter. I never knew that all her comfortable and sometimes extravagant lifestyle was courtesy of my husband. I laid on the bed and started blaming myself how gullible and foolish I had been all these years. I love this man, oh. I loved him with every fiber of my being. I loved him with my soul. He was my king. I believed and trusted him. Hook, line, and sinker, my sister and her child are in the UK close to my husband, while my kids and I are living in Nigeria and sees my husband whenever he wants us to see him. I have been married to a stranger all these years. Another wow. I started thinking of who to call and talk to about my discoveries.